Previously, Akagami was a young man who aimed to steer clear of girls due to his father's negative reputation. However, fate took a turn when he had an accident and encountered a lovely girl named Yuzuki. This encounter sparked a transformation within him. Despite this change, he wished to reclaim his former self and suppress worldly desires. Seeking guidance, he turned to his uncle, who advised him to visit a temple. Following his uncle's suggestion, Akagami dressed as a monk and headed to the temple. To his astonishment, the temple was bustling with girls. Now the story continues, as we see Mia challenged Akagami, asserting that he might have defeated Yuzuki and Tsukio, but she wouldn't be defeated by him. The other girls attempted to calm Mia down due to her confusion. However, she posed a difficult challenge for Akagami. If he lost, she would use scissors to castrate him, essentially threatening his manhood. Despite the seriousness of the situation, he oddly felt a strange excitement and accepted the challenge. Courage didn't understand the nature of the punishment Akagami might face, so everyone ignored her question. Yuzuki encouraged him not to give up and to rely on his fists for the impending fight. Everyone wished him luck, and he bid them farewell before heading to the match's location. A little later, Aimiya arrived, visibly angry due to her dislike for Akagami. Upon seeing her, he addressed her by her first name, which she rejected, emphasizing the importance of respect and proper introductions. Aimiya had arrived at the house before Akagami, so she wanted him to treat her as his senior. Akagami attentively listened to her lecture, agreeing to fulfill her self-centered requests. As Aimiya shared her life story, he began to tune her out. In the meantime, Kagura introduced herself as Mia's attendant. Akagami questioned if she was Mia's sister, to which she affirmed as her elder sister. Mia, however, corrected Kagura, stating that she was older. Akagami then appealed to Mia to call off the duel. Unfortunately, she was still very angry with him due to the incident that happened when he entered the house. Akagami was confused as he couldn't recall the incident. Mia's anger intensified at his forgetfulness, and she expressed her strong dislike for people like him, affirming her determination to castrate him. The scene changes, showing Mia's anger as she draws a samurai sword. Confused by the situation, Akagami listens as she narrates the story of an old samurai and declares that this will be a fight to the death. Worried about this outcome, he sees her quickly cut off a portion of his hair, marking the start of the fight. Realizing her determination, he understands she is serious as she eyes him with an intense gaze. She instructs him to ready his sword for a stronger attack, then swiftly lunges at him. He opts to stop her attack using his hands, abandoning his weapon mid-battle. However, a disruption arises due to Kagura during the fight, causing an awkward moment. Akagami's reaction, though, leads to an unexpected outcome. Mia becomes flustered due to the incident. Her friend taunts her for losing the challenge, signifying Akagami's victory. This frustrates Mia, while Kagura proposes a punishment, bringing forth a book of erotic punishments. Mia's embarrassment increases as she didn't anticipate this situation. She had expected to win the fight and expel Akagami from the temple, but now faces giving up. Surprisingly, Akagami expresses a different wish, indicating the book. Mia misunderstands his gesture, believing he wanted something else entirely. She declines, then hastily flees. Kagura, meanwhile, wears a cryptic smile, suggesting her own plans. As night falls, Akagami finds it difficult to sleep. He's disheartened by his failure to mend things with Mia and obtain the Book of Punishments. Akagami shut his eyes, and suddenly, he was faced with Mia. She had come to settle the issue stemming from their samurai fight challenge. Mia had suffered a loss and had to enact the challenge's penalty. He was confused, as it all seemed like a misunderstanding. To verify if it was a dream, he looked at the door and spotted Kagura recording a video. Finally, he comprehended the situation. He proceeded to explain to Mia, clarifying that he meant the book. Mia now understood too and felt embarrassed about the confusion. She swiftly left. Kagura approached him, whispering something in his ear. Only they knew what she said. Meanwhile, Mia was running, feeling foolish and needing to piece everything together. She chose to meditate and calm herself. She went to a store to hide, but to her surprise, Akagami was waiting there. Kagura had instructed him to go there, and they both realized they were locked inside, unable to escape through the locked door or window. Without their phones, they had to wait until the next day to exit. Finding a blanket, Akagami offered it to Mia, who was reluctant to accept it due to its association with a man. Akagami put it on the floor for her to pick up. While they were in this situation, they discussed a strange table, and Mia explained its significance related to Buddha. The atmosphere grew a bit tense, but she shared her story, a tale similar to Akagami's. Both of them came from renowned yet troubled families. Mia's mother had instilled misleading thoughts in her about having many lovers, leading to her isolation. Kagura, a friend, introduced Mia to religion and suggested starting anew at the temple. However, Akagami's arrival stirred old negative thoughts in her. Akagami empathized, confessing he faced similar struggles. They found solace in each other's company and shared a tearful moment. As they connected on a deeper level, romantic feelings began to blossom. They resolved to help each other overcome their challenges. At that very moment, Kagura opened the door, having overheard their conversation. The following day, Kagura was recording Akagami and Mia as they did yoga exercises. Yuzuki arrived and misunderstood the situation, asking them to pray for forgiveness for their sins. Then Yuzuki remembered an important matter, the plan for her marriage. She intended to marry a priest to ensure the temple's continuation. Kiki's departure and the temple's potential closure after Yuzuki's high school graduation motivated this decision. To reach the bus stop quickly, they rushed, but unfortunately, they were late. To overcome this setback, Akagami rented a motorcycle, and Yuzuki joined him. However, they faced another issue as they ran out of fuel. Seeing a bus in the distance, they rushed towards it, only to realize it was a truck. Yuzuki's disappointment led her to call herself foolish. During this time, Akagami recalled Courage's words about Yuzuki's perceived shortcomings, but he chose to ignore them. Yuzuki expressed her belief that saving the temple was impossible. However, Akagami reassured her, saying that nothing was beyond reach. Akagami encouraged Yuzuki to put on a kimono, revealing their plan to rent the truck currently halted at a red traffic light. Initially hesitant due to embarrassment, Yuzuki eventually agreed to the plan. The wedding date was approaching, and they had only 30 minutes left. Akagami borrowed the truck, and they headed to the temple for the impending wedding ceremony. A little later, they entered the temple using the truck in an unconventional way, by jumping it over the wall. However, their plan didn't go smoothly as they ended up hitting a tree. The priest arrived to escort Yuzuki to the master, relieved that she had made it to the appointment on time. She expressed gratitude to Akagami for his help, and he casually mentioned that it's normal for friends to assist each other. He encouraged her to go and playfully stated that there was no man in the world who wouldn't fall for her. Yuzuki laughed and left with the priest, while Akagami waited for her in the van. Although he wished her success in the task, he felt a pang of sadness knowing he couldn't be with her due to her upcoming marriage. As he sat there, lost in thought, he suddenly noticed a mysterious woman next to him. He inquired about her identity, but she turned the tables, suggesting that he should be answering her questions. She remarked on his attire as a priest's outfit and directed him to clean the temple, telling him not to waste any time. Despite his reluctance, she insisted and took him away to begin the cleaning. Meanwhile, Yuzuki was introducing herself to the high priest. He appeared pleased to meet her and shared his identity as Kijuan, the third son of the Ryokoku temple. Curious about her decision to propose at a young age, the priest queried Yuzuki. She responded candidly, expressing her deep affection for Mikazuki Temple and her friends residing there. She even suggested that Kijuan visit her temple. Yuzuki passionately conveyed her loyalty and love for her friends, confident that they were supporting her from afar. However, she became startled when she noticed Akagami watching her from behind a window, triggering her nervousness. Akagami's presence raised doubts in her mind, wondering if he was genuinely there or just a mental construct. As Yuzuki grappled with her thoughts, Akagami struggled with negative feelings about her interacting with another man. In an effort to dispel these feelings, he resorted to self-punching. He also encouraged Yuzuki to envision her family's presence, even though his own presence was a distraction. Akagami, meanwhile, sensed that his presence was causing Yuzuki stress and decided to hide to ensure the success of the upcoming marriage arrangement. However, a priestess asked him to hide in a specific location due to the absence of the marriage broker, who was unwell. The priestess mistook Akagami for a matchmaker, creating an awkward situation that embarrassed both Yuzuki and Akagami. Akagami apologized to Yuzuki for the misunderstanding and soon found himself feeling energetic and motivated. He realized that marrying Yuzuki to the priest could potentially save the temple from closure. Akagami's excitement grew, and he urged Yuzuki to prepare for the upcoming events. Turning to Kijuan, he posed a question about where the priest would take his girlfriend for their first date. Kijuan revealed his plan to visit the cinema for a movie, expressing that he usually watches movies alone but would enjoy it more with Yuzuki. Yuzuki was happy with the positive turn of events, but her gaze shifted to Akagami, who suddenly clutched his heart upon hearing about the cinema. Negative thoughts flooded his mind, briefly overshadowing his efforts to improve himself. However, he managed to regain his composure. Akagami inquired further, asking the priest about their potential leisure activities on days off. Kijuan suggested hot springs as a relaxing option. Strangely, Akagami's expression turned intense, likely due to his internal struggles. His anger and frustration were evident, almost resembling an untamed beast. Yet, he made an effort to let go of these feelings. Attempting to steer the conversation in a different direction, Akagami probed Kijuan about his plans after marriage. Kijuan's response of wanting a big family with 10 children overwhelmed Akagami to the point that he fainted. The situation grew chaotic as he was escorted away. Yuzuki felt embarrassed by Akagami's awkward actions, so she apologized to Kijuan. He acknowledged her earlier sincere description of her friends and expressed his wish that Akagami hadn't interfered in the meeting. Yet, he recognized that Akagami's concern for Yuzuki was genuine. Akagami's straightforwardness reflected his honest emotions. Yuzuki recalled her mother's teachings about the importance of honesty, leading her to apologize to Kijuan again. She admitted that she didn't truly want to marry him. Remembering her friend Kiki's advice to extend the engagement for 3 years to prevent the temple's closure, Yuzuki revealed her intentions. Kijuan understood her motives and realized she was fighting to save the temple. Yuzuki knelt before him, pleading for his support in postponing the temple's fate. However, the priest offered a philosophical perspective, asserting the temple's condition and its impact on people's lives. Just then, Akagami arrived, also seeking their help to save the temple. He blamed himself for the temple's financial troubles caused by his father's debts. The priest listened in astonishment, sharing the idea that closing the temple could benefit Akagami by relieving him of his debts. Akagami, however, disagreed, believing the temple deserved protection. He emphasized the temple's significance in his and Yuzuki's lives. The conversation shifted, with the priest urging Akagami to take responsibility for Yuzuki and support her throughout her life. Akagami wholeheartedly agreed, pledging to bring happiness to her. This exchange almost resembled a marriage contract, making Yuzuki blush. Kijuan then agreed to the engagement, but only on a superficial level, granting her his name. He departed, leaving Yuzuki and Akagami grateful for his assistance. When he saw her face, he assumed she might have caught a cold or some illness. She reacted by screaming and playfully calling him silly. She explained that her face turned red because she had feelings for Akagami. Later, they reached the train station, but they had missed the last train, leaving them stranded. He suggested a taxi, but none were available in the deserted city. Despite the situation, they stumbled upon a hotel, though it wasn't the kind they expected. He hesitated to go in, while she encouraged him, and they ended up entering the hotel. In a silly moment, she teased him, causing him to get a nosebleed. She then jokingly asked him to take a shower. As he went to the bathroom, he contemplated a way to avoid any unwanted complications. After leaving the bathroom, he noticed that Yuzuki was acting strangely as she went to take a bath. He thought he should see what she was watching on TV. When he turned on the TV, he realized she was watching strange videos. This reminded him of the conversation with the young girl who had mentioned how Yuzuki's had a hidden perverted side. The next day, Tsukuyo was anxiously waiting for her sister Yuzuki. She was concerned about her sister's whereabouts. Just then, Akagami and Yuzuki returned to the temple. Yuzuki tried to assure her that everything was fine, but Tsukuyo sensed something suspicious. She questioned them, and although they answered in a vague way, Tsukuyo could tell something was off. She became frustrated and demanded to know the truth. Eventually, she learned that they had stayed at a hotel due to missing the train, but nothing inappropriate had occurred. Tsukuyo teased Yuzuki about cheating on her fiancé on the same day as the engagement. She urged Yuzuki not to reveal anything about Akagami at school to protect the family's reputation and the temple's image. Yuzuki argued that it was normal for assistants like Akagami to live at the temple, but Tsukuyo insisted that Mikazuki Temple was for girls only. At school, Tsukuyo sat alone with her juice box, reflecting on Yuzuki's life before Akagami joined the temple. Her friends Mata and Yuki arrived, greeted her, and unexpectedly mentioned that Tsukuyo had a lover. Shocked, she denied it, but her friends claimed they had evidence that she was seen with a young man by the river. Tsukuyo tried to dismiss it, but her friends were convinced and mentioned that the young man had unique temple attire. Tsukuyo recalled the incident by the river when her friends teased her about having a boyfriend. She explained that her sister Yuzuki was with her, and it wasn't a date. However, her friends persisted, convinced that Tsukuyo had a boyfriend due to her popularity and the reputation of the Ayaba family. They playfully danced and sang, trying to learn who the mystery person was. Embarrassed and confused, Tsukuyo went to the window and saw Akagami at school. She hurriedly closed the curtains and threw a note at him, asking him to leave. Akagami, dressed neatly for temple duties, arrived with lunch for Tsukuyo. She was thankful but insisted he shouldn't be there. Tsukuyo tried to get Akagami to leave due to students outside, but he didn't mind. They discussed his choice of attire to avoid suspicions. Someone knocked on the door, and Tsukuyo panicked, hiding Akagami under a blanket and taking his place. Her friends entered, concerned about her health before their sports class. They noticed something odd about Tsukuyo's feet and speculated that she had gained weight. She quickly covered it up, hoping her friends would leave soon. They inquired about the shooting club competition, and Tsukuyo claimed to be busy helping her family, preventing her from participating. Finally, her friends left the room. Afterward, Akagami offered to take care of the household chores so Tsukuyo could focus on her physical activities and rejoin the shooting club. He attempted to leave the nursing room, but Tsukuyo stopped him. Unfortunately, the girls returned and found Tsukuyo with Akagami, leading to confusion and nerves due to the day's misunderstandings. The next day, Tsukuyo locked herself in her room due to the previous day's situation. Akagami decided to help by climbing in through the window and discussing something important. He told her he had cleaned the temple and managed finances for her, encouraging her to return to the shooting club. Although nervous, she left the room and he continued with the housework. While walking alone, Tsukuyo accidentally found herself at the shooting club. She started tidying up and practicing archery. Akagami joined her, surprising her. They talked about her return to the club, with Tsukuyo expressing her anger but Akagami trying to convince her otherwise. He highlighted her skills and passion for archery, but she felt her sister Yuzuki deserved it more. The truth emerged. Tsukuyo couldn't return to the shooting club because Yuzuki was handling all the responsibilities alone for their family and the temple. Despite being in high school, Yuzuki had taken on numerous burdens and even considered marrying someone she didn't like to save the temple. Tsukuyo found this admirable. Akagami was touched by Tsukuyo's words and held her hand. He understood the situation with Yuzuki and her sister, so he took her to an important place, the back of the temple. There, she saw Yuzuki practicing archery, but to her surprise, Yuzuki's shots were beginner level. Akagami wanted Tsukuyo to see the reality, that her sister wasn't as skilled as she thought. Tsukuyo was shocked and embarrassed by this revelation. She had believed Yuzuki to be very skilled, but it turned out she wasn't. She tried shooting an arrow herself, but the result was the same, not very accurate. Tsukuyo felt embarrassed and claimed that Yuzuki was actually a professional in archery, which surprised everyone. Frustrated, Tsukuyo tried again, but the outcome was no better. This confirmed Akagami's earlier words. Yuzuki's archery skills were not as high as Tsukuyo believed. Tsukuyo came to accept this truth, even though it was embarrassing. At that moment, a girl named Courage exposed Tsukuyo's feelings in front of Yuzu. She revealed that Tsukuyo cares so much for her sister that seeing her with a bow makes her uncomfortable. Tsukuyo felt embarrassed by this revelation and denied it. Yuzuki mentioned that managing the temple was demanding but also rewarding. She asked Tsukuyo to help her with archery occasionally, which made them both laugh. Later that night, Tsukuyo was headed for a shower and accidentally encountered Akagami changing his clothes. They both apologized for the situation, and Tsukuyo assured him it was normal. She shared that she would be rejoining the shooting club soon, thanking him for his support. However, she playfully punished him for something he did at school. After a while, Tsukuyo did return to the shooting club but forgot her lunch. Akagami kindly brought it to her. A girl hinted that Akagami might be Tsukuyo's boyfriend, but she clarified that he was just a family member. This shocks the girls. Tsukuyo continued her archery training and improved her skills, eventually becoming a professional. This brings an end to our episode. If you enjoy it, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel, Annie Explainer.